This is how
Yes.
Avatar 2 sequel talk.
Yo.
Way of the Water, that's the name of it.
Yes.
Film is directed by James Cameron. It stars Sam Worthington, Zoe Saldana, I believe her name is.
I don't.
Gamora actress. Yeah.
I don't think.
Sigourney Weaver. That's kind of. I mean, there are more people. Oh, Kate Winslet's in it. That's she's working with. I have a funny Kate Winslet story, so we'll probably get to that later. Yeah. Let's just go ahead. What's our first impression? Starting with you.
It looks pretty cool. They got stuff going on. Rather, it looks good. Very nice.
Oh, it's getting your praise for how the visuals are getting even higher. Like, it looks cool. It looks good. It looks very nice.
It looks very nice. Yeah. From what I remember, movie's pretty epic, I guess. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed my time.
Yeah.
They had cool fights. Got cool animals. I like them. And they don't have cool kids. They be kids,
Damn.
but they serve their purpose. So I am content with their existence.
Kids exist. End of story.
Yes.
Best visuals of the year.
Best visuals of the fucking decade, bro.
Yeah.
I don't think I've seen a better looking movie than this one, if I'm being honest.
Water. They got water right.
Yeah.
That's the way. That is the way.
Yeah.
And
So, did you like it? Is that
Did
he
you
said
like
he liked it?
it?
He liked it, yeah. Yeah. I dug this one. Visually, it's a fucking spectacle. It's insane. The visuals are like, wow. Not all the time though. Like, when the visuals are going at full force, it looks better than anything you've ever seen. However, there are times when the visuals aren't very good, such as the animals. Bro, like some of these fucking textures are like so weirdly low res. It was just weird. It's also to do with the motion smoothing and the high frame rate stuff that makes everything look a bit strange. Some people have been saying this looks like a video game cutscene, and like there is good and bad aspects of this. Like, that's not necessarily a diss because video game cutscenes now look fucking phenomenal. However, sometimes it has like weird things. I'll get more into that because I have a good example, but like, yeah. The story for this movie is pretty awful. I saw a lot of reviews go like, oh, great visuals, very simple story. I disagree. You see, Avatar 1, that was a simple story. This one has a simple like core story, but then they just go on a bunch of fucking side quests and shit in the middle of the movie. This movie is over 3 hours long. It is bloated as fuck, in my opinion. The first half of the movie, like low-key, wasn't even like worth it. It was just like fucking, like, I did not give a shit, bro.
You and I are laughing at about this.
Yeah.
We missed the first hour of the whole movie.
I like the first like scene or two because it's set like it gets like immediately into the threat. Like, I can't really spoil it, but like things happen immediately, and you're like, okay, cool. And then once the consequences of said thing happens, and you meet some new characters, let's just say, the movie just goes all the way like down, and like I lost all interest. But for some context though, I saw it at 1:45 in the morning at the IMAX in 3D because I was like, there's no other way I'm going to experience this movie. So I watched it like that, which was draining on my sleepiness, but like totally worth it. And I recommend that's the way you should go out and see this one.
That is the way.
Yeah.
Of water.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just like, if you want to actually see James Cameron's vision in full, you got to see it in the way he put it out. So like, that's probably the best way to see it.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I miss Cameron.
It's actually straight. If you go to the cinema and you watch it there's like a couple of options, but I think if you see it in 3D, you have to see it in high, like the I would say high
Variable
frame rate,
frame
but
rate.
it's not true. It's variable frame rate. The film's marketed with a high frame rate. It has high frame rate in it, about as much as it has standard frame rate. Like it's about 50-50 because literally every time they cut, it's a new frame rate. So
Yeah.
it's like, which we'll talk more about. This is still first impressions. So I just want to say, okay, I think the movie, to be honest, is like better than the first, but not by that much, in my opinion. Like I'm like, okay, visuals, obviously amazing. The storytelling, not very good. But which is kind of, I like the storytelling in the first movie more, if I'm being completely honest. However, the characters are a lot better in this one. And I think it gets like surprisingly emotional by the end. And yeah. So like, yeah, I think this is a great movie. Definitely go out and see it in theaters while you can. Like, see it as many times because in total honesty, I wouldn't watch it again outside of the cinema because I'm not seeing through a 3 hour and 15-minute film.
Get
That
your own
is
IMAX
pretty
system.
boring for half of it.
Yeah,
But
do
like,
that.
yeah.
That's easier.
And that's
I-
also the thing. When it's being boring, the visuals at least hold it up.
Fair
So at
enough.
least you're looking at something cool. Sorry, you can.
I cut. Out of curiosity and as a tangent, when did you get home?
Dude, I got home at like 5:30.
I didn't expect. Did you have many ads at the start?
Yeah, we got the Did you get the Tom Cruise thing? Oh wait, you didn't
No.
say. So I'm not quite sure if it's for Avatar or just if you see Avatar in IMAX, but you get an exclusive Mission Impossible thing,
Right.
and it's very cool. And like, so I recommend. That's also a perk of seeing an IMAX. But yeah,
Cool.
it's very nice. All right, we'll talk about acting.
yes.
Yeah. Which I feel like
I
is
don't know.
one of the biggest points of this film, right? In terms
didn't
of
taste
the
it.
motion capture.
Motion capture. Yep.
I think it was like pretty much like
yeah.
not really any uncanny valley.
Oh.
There is one cool thing. I didn't actually know about this until after I saw the movie, so this could be a minor spoiler, but like skip ahead maybe like 40 seconds, all right? So to say that the kid of Sigourney Weaver's character is played by Sigourney Weaver again. So she's actually doing the mocap and the voice, which is kind of fucking insane.
Hmm.
And I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that's
Loki also one of my favorite characters in the movie, I reckon. But yeah. So that's
Cool.
the only thing I would say. I think everyone gives a great performance in this one.
Yep.
The mocap was like pretty much on point. Oh wait, there was one performance I didn't like. There is a certain character. I'm not going to get too into it because it's going to end up in a bit of a rant and a little bit of a spoiler thing.
Uh-oh.
There's a character called Spider in this film.
Uh.
Worst character in cinema, but like besides the point, the acting wasn't very good there. So like,
Bro.
it was
Bro.
just yeah.
Just because he's
So I'd say
monkey.
on the whole, pretty good performances, except why did we even have this character? And the actor
Mm.
wasn't very good in the role even. So like, yeah.
Mm. Mm-hmm.
I like the acting.
Yeah, I think so. Alright.
Could you tell the mocap was like,
Better than the last one.
was it real?
It all
I
felt
think
real
it's
to me.
as real as it gets,
Yeah.
probably. Comparing it with like, video game cutscene.
Comparing
Yeah.
it to real life. Is
Real
it real
life.
life?
It's not like infinite FPS does.
No.
But no, in terms of like the look and like the ability to capture each detail.
Overgrown Smurfs are real.
Smurfs are real.
The 9
They
feet.
look like living things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it all looks realistic.
Very cool.
Acting was good.
Oh, I like also funny New Zealand guy who they just
Oh.
literally just gave him like a full New Zealand accent. It was pretty funny.
Was he a New Zealand guy? You talk about the fishing man?
Yeah, bro. He had the absolute full-on New Zealand accent. It was
It
great.
was very more Aussie than New Zealand, was it?
Nah, mate.
He doesn't have the mate, thing. Doesn't have that.
Yeah,
Hey,
he did.
get the whale, mate. Yeah.
Or was I just really tired?
That guy. Oh.
I'm pretty sure it was a New Zealand accent.
Was it New Zealand? wasn't very
I-
New Zealand to me.
I leant more towards Aussie or
Yeah.
even South African.
It wouldn't be South African because they shot. And
I know,
it
You're
wouldn't
saying
be
they
but
can't
there
over
could
fly
still be
South
South African people in the place.
But I feel like he wasn't very Kiwi.
Yeah.
In
Sam
no,
Worthington is Kiwi, though. I'm pretty sure, like the main guy, Jake.
or has he
Oh.
lost his Kiwiness?
Let's just compromise with he could be anything.
Someone from the South Pacific.
From New Guinea.
Sure.
I know a South African.
That's cool.
Also,
They sound like Australian.
Well, have they lived here for a while?
Yep.
Oh,
that probably explains it. Yeah. So that's acting. Then writing, which is where I feel like the issues of the film lie.
Go ahead.
All right. It's hard to talk about things without spoiling, but okay. So yeah, things happen. Okay, one of the main points of criticism, though, I'll compare it to another movie that did it, but did it worse. It has the. Actually, I don't even really hate it that much, but it feels very familiar to the first movie. Like they borrow a lot of the same elements in the way the plot is structured, and same plot beats happening as well. You got your character goes into new environment, has to learn the ways of the people.
Yeah.
You've got the. Well, I was going to say something big, but then I realized it was a spoiler. But there's like a very key. Let's just say there's a key character in this movie that is literally playing the exact same role as the last movie.
The Chosen.
No,
Yes.
but
Yes. We are leaving this obscure.
I can't
like,
tell you
confusing.
who it is, but unless he was in the trailer, but I don't know. But
The
to
bad
be
it's
honest,
guy.
I
Winston
liked
Churchill.
this character, and it was.
Winston
Is that
Churchill.
Buzzy?
There's AC outside.
Cool. My tinnitus is being tinnitus. Anyway,
Uh-huh.
A low frequency tinnitus.
yeah. So yeah, there's a lot of similar plot points. But also the movie is like Avatar 1, protect the forest but protect the water.
Yeah.
That's
Protect
this
the
movie,
fish.
which I actually
Oh.
it's one of my biggest issues with this movie, if I'm being honest. Like I like the messages of the protect the water stuff. The actual central core of that message occurs roughly, let's say, 75% of the way through the film. You find out what is really going on, and it factors kind of so little into the actual conflict of the movie that I'm like, why is this here? And it adds a secondary villain that I'm like, why are they really here? And I don't really get the point.
Social commentary on the Japanese.
It was, and that's the thing. It kind of was, and it was like for a 3.5 hour movie, 2 hours I think were dedicated to a plot line that felt so out of place in the grand scheme of the thing. Because I feel like the overall central theme plot of this movie is family.
Yeah.
And they do things like paralleling villains' perspective on family with heroes' perspective of family, what family means to this other clan that they meet, blah blah blah. And then you just have like a random ass plot to do with the environment that does not fit, doesn't pay off at all, unless you count a like bit of an action thing.
It's payback from
But, like,
the funny whale.
Yeah, the thing with the whale, like it
I
doesn't
know,
really
way all
fit.
the time.
And like the parts where they're all
Okay.
like hanging out in the water and shit, and then the camera's like, look how cool the water is. It's visually cool, but I did not need 40 minutes of it.
What?
So like, yeah. Also, the movie is like weirdly paced like a TV show. Did you find that? They literally
Like,
cut
they-
to like they fade
so-
to black, and then like a new
Oh, they do
episode
have-
starts
wait.
where they have a bunch of little arcs happening, and it's weird. Like it's honestly like really fucking weird.
Like,
You've got like
Chapter 2.
I could actually point out all the arcs, but I need to do it in the spoilers, obviously.
Yeah.
For that to work. But like this movie does little arcs, like a fucking season of TV. So which is like literally what bad pacing is when you're looking at a movie. So like, yeah, pacing was atrocious. It was a bloated ass movie at 3 hours and 15 minutes. the dialogue was there was a lot of laughing moments. Like a lot of the dialogue was really weird. They'd say things and then we'd just be laughing because the dialogue just wasn't well written. I also do not like the use of voiceover throughout the film. It was very cringe.
The narrator thing.
Yeah.
But I thought that was part of the chapter thing. Oh, fade up.
His
Fade
internal force.
Yes.
Yeah.
Leading
This
in
is
between
happening.
It
each
would,
arc.
but it would undermine the serious scenes when like they do some emotional stuff, and then you've got fake deep speech in the background. And I'm just like, bro, this is cringe. Also, I'm a little bit confused why The Weeknd is. Why actually it's
Oh,
sound
it's
this
just a
audio.
funny
Oh,
cameo.
Well, we'll get to
that.
So overall, but oh yes, my main positive is the characters are all pretty good. Like Jake Sully, much better in this movie because they're playing him as a father.
Mhm.
Neytiri, unfortunately, if you're a Neytiri fan like I am, she is incredibly underutilized in this movie. That is, yeah, it's a shame because they introduced a bunch of new characters, so they kind of have to cut other characters a little bit. Oh, pretty much the entire first cast is gone, aside from Jake Sully. Like in terms of like the side characters, they're pretty much all gone. You'll get cameos from them, but like nothing more than that.
Yeah.
I like the new children brought into it.
Children.
I don't really. Their role in the story was very cliche and a bit too overused in the way that they go. Like the plot progresses because the children keep fucking shit up,
Mhm.
and then they'll get into worse situations because of the children keep repeating stuff, which
What's the
is like
Spanish
a
for
very
children?
cheap way to doing it.
What's the Spanish for children? Is it actually childrenos? No.
It would be probably like close to like Bambino, wouldn't it?
Bambino.
There you
What does
go.
Bambino mean?
I don't know.
It means
Kid.
child in
Yeah.
Italian, so I assume it would be similar.
So you
Little
gotta-
duendes.
Is it? Yeah.
That means
He doesn't
goblin.
know how to speak Italian, bro. I mean Spanish
Italian.
or
I know.
Italian. You left Italian, bitch.
Yes.
Yeah,
See.
Duende means goblin.
cool.
So little duendes.
So what's blue then?
What's blue?
Then you have blue goblin
Yeah.
for the little kids.
I don't remember.
What's blue in Italian?
Sacre
remember.
bleu.
And then we'll do a fusion.
Don't remember.
Don't remember? Sadness.
Yeah, and I said
Yeah.
what are they? It's L'Aqua.
L'Aqua.
La
Yeah.
Duende.
Duende.
Yeah, all the characters, like the kids, seem to have pretty distinct personalities, which I liked. They kept reusing the same tropes of them fucking things up.
Mm.
Yeah.
I also really liked this character. I think her name was like Curie or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of it, you get the start of, you do get a complete arc for her, but it is more a teaser for the sequels. I feel like her character is, definitely. And I have my own theories about that, but genuinely pretty intriguing stuff there. And which is why all of the stuff with the own characters, because the characters all have their things they need to have resolved, like their internal conflict resolved. Why don't they just focus on that and not have to shoe in this whole environmental plot? Even though I get that the Avatar franchise whole thing is to be about the environment, but it just feels so out of place, and that's literally why it's over 3 hours long when it does not need to be.
Because they need to give whale friend to the kid.
Climate change is real, people.
Yeah,
Oh shit! I'm gonna get out.
but like ultimately, I
we're
don't
gonna
know,
get our
nothing.
podcast cancelled.
We'll get into spoilers, obviously, because it's not it.
Oh.
But oh yeah, I really don't like the character of Spider. Firstly, cultural appropriation king. Secondly, he cringed as fuck. Thirdly,
The monkey.
he has literally no motivation in this movie, alright? I could not tell you what this man is thinking because he is not thinking. He is in places where he needs to be for the sake of characters to figure out things to lead to other things for the plot to happen.
Things happen.
He is a plot device. No, he's literally like an inanimate object. He literally is. He is in places. They don't address that he is in those places. None of the other characters even notice him for like the second half of the movie. It's really fucking weird because he'll appear in a place and they'll be like, "Oh, you're here." Like he was there all along and not doing this other thing, which is obviously a spoiler, but it's fucking. I genuinely don't understand what they'll think of this character. It's like they started writing him and then just forgot.
Yes.
Like seriously, there's zero motivation for this character. He's not even a character. He's literally like a plot device and an inanimate object. It's just there, and it pisses me off, bro.
Damn.
Did you hate Spider too?
Yeah, I recognize that he's not very well placed.
Yeah.
Yes, he hasn't
Yes. Yeah.
around the place.
He
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
is.
Spider.
It's fucking
More
dumb.
like.
Did you like the
Boy.
children? Because you said something about the children at the start.
Like,
And there's
yeah, I don't like that trope of just like, oh, children, they be fucking up
Yeah.
because they children. You know, I guess that progresses the story, which is why they serve their purpose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I understand that, but I just don't like children.
Did you like
Fucking up.
the character of the children?
Feel like in their own arcs, they're alright.
Did you like the older brother?
Feel like he's the typical character.
That is. Yeah.
Yeah.
sort of underdeveloped
Yeah,
in terms of
the-
an actual plot.
Yeah, he probably has the least in terms of this
Yeah.
to do.
Other
Well,
than-
actually, other than also other than the little one,
The
she
mini-
doesn't really do anything, but she's
Yeah.
kind of adorable and makes you care.
That's a trope as well, yeah.
Yeah, but like
It's
to be
very
honest, I got
true.
very emotionally attached to
Mhm.
these kids too.
Oh.
Yeah, you like the younger brother?
He's the one with the most development.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So I'd say like
it was
that's
her
okay.
and Kiri probably.
Yeah,
Him and Kiri. Yeah,
whale friend.
I feel
Yeah.
like the children of the new people I didn't
The
like.
fish people. Well,
The
they're
clan.
just kind of
I
there
didn't
to
really
be.
actually like the clan people that much at all. Like, I guess the parents are alright, but like, they also just didn't really have much to them.
Yeah.
But the children were. One was a fucking asshole, and
Well,
I
they're meant
didn't
to
like
be
him.
assholes. Then
The
they're
other one-
friends.
They framed in a potential romantic interest light, but didn't really go anywhere. Also,
Yeah.
she kind of has no personality, to be honest.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
She's just a nice girl.
Yeah.
When I think about this film, actually, I feel like they've cut out a fair bit of it.
It's 3 hours. Yeah.
It's 3 hours.
Yeah, I'm pretty
It
sure the
feels like they
extended cut's
tried
going to
to-
be like 6 hours or something.
Because if
Damn.
James Cameron is writing like a 5-part thing, this felt like 2.5 parts in itself that they've tried to cut that into one.
I mean, I don't know. I don't really. I see like one loose thread, which is probably going to be as a sequel to do with Kiri,
Yeah.
but there's nothing else I think that's the loose thread in this one.
Oh, and not as in loose ends, I just felt like there's like 2 movies worth of material in this one film, and they've cut out a whole other bit of as well. I feel like there's not as in the loose end stuff, but it's just like there's some parts kind of feel incomplete.
Sure.
Oh, I got another loose end, but it's kind of spoiled.
All right. Yeah.
Yo,
All right. Cinematography.
cinematography
I think it's good.
is good.
As
As
you
you
said.
said.
Yeah.
Jinx.
Oh yeah. Fuck it. Fuck the cinematography, bro. You know, and the
It's good. No,
you
fuck
guys
it.
didn't see the start of the movie.
Double
So you don't
take.
know what I'm talking about. They're in the spaceship, and then the camera does like a 360.
Spinning.
Mhm.
And then because we're at IMAX in 3D, we were just going, oh. There's a couple of moments when they spin the camera and it makes us feel like throwing up. So yeah,
Damn,
Fun.
That's crazy.
which is pretty immersive.
I would
Immersive.
100% have actually thrown up if I was there.
Yeah.
3D
close
already
your
makes
eyes,
you throw
you-
up enough.
Close your
Once
eye.
throw up.
Close your eye.
Yeah.
You spin around with it.
Oh yeah, that's how you.
That would be 40.
Mm.
Well, yeah, side tangent. Yeah, you know, this ride at Luna Park, right? I went on, and it's like you're in like a little thing where everyone's sitting around the outside, right?
Carousel.
And then the ride goes full 360 upside down
Yeah, I
while
know that
spinning,
one.
right? I noticed a weird
3D
thing. I was
carousel.
like, when you're upside down in the air, you don't feel the height because it feels like you're on the ground.
Mm-hmm. What? Yeah.
Because you're getting
Yeah,
flipped so fast you
you're-
don't realize.
Yeah,
That,
centrifugal
but also
force.
because you're literally upside down.
Yes.
Like your feet are pointing towards the sky, right?
You
So you
the
don't feel the
flip-
height because it just
Oh,
seems
yeah.
like the ground is the height. You know what I mean? Because you're literally the opposite.
Because you're standing on something.
No, you're not standing on anything.
The sky is the ground.
Yeah, like the sky is the ground. Because the way your perspective is flipped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, like, yeah.
Don't you still feel the gravity push down? Or
Well, I don't know. I guess.
For the listeners that aren't seeing my face right now, I am just very. I am not
Just
following
thinking.
this lines
No,
of
'cause-
these lines
okay.
of logic, and I don't want to really follow it.
You know, okay, you know how, like, when you're on the ground, right? So, say you were upside down, right?
Yeah.
It's still, like,
because when someone feels the perspective of height,
yeah, for
It's
height,
a little
you're
down.
feeling like you're, like, up here, but you're, like, you're not upside down, right? For when you're feeling height, you're, like, up. Like,
Okay.
you're vertical, right?
Okay, then that's
But
just
then
subjectively
when you're
then.
upside down, but you're high, it's, like, vertically flipped.
your brain don't realize, or his brain don't.
Do you get what I mean?
Okay, now I get what you mean.
Yeah.
Brain
And I feel
trickery.
like that's just you.
Yeah.
That's just a subjective feeling.
Because
Can
me
you
and my
feel
homies
it?
all was like, yeah,
Can
we
you
can't feel
feel
the
it?
height because we're upside down.
Okay,
Fair enough.
cool. That's
Fair.
a very nice
But
experience.
anyway,
If you feel that, then you feel whatever you want to feel.
but yeah, so
Feelings aside.
Man, it's
all
all
right, we'll
about
just get
facts,
editing and
not feelings.
visuals. And speaking of feeling things, the visuals are fucking insane. Like the way they, because in 3D, right, the way they project like the water and shit. So it's like when you're in like tiny space, like there's a really cool moment at the end where they're running through a tiny ship space and trying to get out, and the water fills up,
Yeah.
and it's fucking dark, and the cinema is entirely black, and then it's fucking insane. It's like you're trapped in there, and I felt the claustrophobia, bro. I was like, oh, it's uncomfortable.
Can you
But
feel
I love it.
Feel like drown.
I did feel like drowning.
You still feel like drowning?
Yeah, I feel like drowning myself every day.
In your
For real, for
tears,
real.
in the pool of your own tears, of course.
Yeah, how beautiful this movie was. I was
So emotional.
I actually
That was not a
I actually
word.
teared up in the movie. Me and Sunday were crying at the end.
Damn.
It gets pretty emotional. But yeah, we'll get to that more. But very cool. I also like the world building in this. But that was probably more writing. But yeah. Anything to add to editing and visuals?
Spectacular.
Yeah, like I can't stress this up. Like it is probably the best looking movie
Beautiful.
you'll ever see in your current life, like up until this point.
Yeah. fair.
Yeah. Does it look more realistic than this movie?
They'll be like, yes,
I mean, okay, like objectively, speaking objectively, this is probably the most realistic looking, completely CGI film you'll ever see.
besides the
Besides,
I
I
Just
think the
Dance.
blue people are the best looking CGI. Have you
I'm
seen
just
better?
making a thing of realism in blue people.
Blue.
Okay.
Blue.
Oh, yeah, it was pretty
Fish.
cool. All right, we're gonna get into spoilers now. So, this is your
Wait,
spoiler
audio
warning.
music.
Oh, wait, audio and
Oh.
music.
Because you have to address.
The week.
I mean, this is just the fact. This is just the credits, bro. It's like, why is the weekend? Because we were okay. We got the movie ended. We're like, oh, that was pretty fucking good. And then the weekend started playing. And we're like, the fuck.
I mean,
Remember, I like the weekend, but
Oh.
also
Even
like,
for the toilets.
I know, yeah.
yeah.
But the movie ended, and I really had to piss, and I missed out on the weekend.
Oh, Lachlan peed in the middle of the movie actually,
Yeah.
and he went and checked the time. He's like, we're an hour and a half through. And we're like, are you fucking kidding me? This feels like it's been going on forever. It was in the middle of the blended part.
That week.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
got a
why is the
funny
weekend?
contract.
It doesn't really matter because it was
James
just the
Cameron
internet.
personally.
I mean, I assume he
Hey.
did because he's the director. Yeah,
So thank you.
Thank you.
yeah.
Cool animal noises.
Cool
Yeah,
animal
Very
noises.
cool.
Oh, I'm not sure. I can't remember if it was in this one. But do you know what the animal noise in the first one was? Like it's specifically it's a reused sound of
Which
another
animal?
famous, like other famous creatures from a certain film.
There's multiple animals. First
Yeah, all the animal noises were animal noises from another film.
from
Predator?
Jurassic Park.
Yes,
Wow, I was
Why did I
correct.
say Predator? I'm
Because
just being
Predator.
stupid.
Predator is alien.
I know, I'm being
Yeah.
stupid.
Might be alien because they aren't alien.
Jurassic
Wow,
Park.
they're dinosaur.
But yeah,
Dinosaur.
they used Jurassic Park sound effects for that. I can't remember what they used for this one. I think it was better. The score, I don't think it's as good as the first one, though it's hard to be. The score of the first one was like pretty mind blowing. This one was, but I think this one was pretty good. They reused tracks in the first one.
Makes sense.
They used like the big one where the like everything was fucking trees falling down and shit. In this one, I
Oh,
think.
yeah.
But yeah,
What are you gonna say? Everything is awesome.
Everything is
Nah.
awesome. Everything is
Yeah.
cool.
All right,
um,
anything else?
I don't think so.
Yeah, all right, we'll get into the thing.
My recorder's like realign this. Excuse me while I fiddle with my
Diddle.
stick.
For real.
Fuck it.
Spoiler
Spoiler
zone.
zone.
You know, I didn't feel it last week, but this week playing that theme, it felt like nostalgia. It felt like good times.
Good times.
Yeah. It felt like
Speaking
good
of
times.
nostalgia,
Felt different, hit different.
Yeah.
13
felt
years in the making. This film was
30 years?
13.
13 years.
300.
Yeah, about 300.
Keep
Yeah.
it 300. Like the road. 300. Yes.
Anyway, where do we start? We're talking
Let's
spoilers.
talk about the kids, yo. They showed up in the movie pretty early.
Yeah. I'm like, I kind of vibe with the kids. They are pretty tropey, I guess, but like, there's a good bond between all of the family, and I did care about them. Also, like, just because the mocap was so good, like,
It looked like a real
they look
kid.
like real, yeah, kids. So it's like pretty cool.
I'm a real
And yeah,
boy.
Sigourney Weaver was
Mm.
back again.
How do they miniaturize her to be?
That's a fucking good
Child.
question. I genuinely don't know. But
Maybe they could just use the mocap and just make us smaller.
I guess
So they would
so.
have adjustments to that, I assume.
Once again,
Yeah.
very talented team. It's the Weta Digital, right? Which I think are New Zealand or Australian based. They're the
think
people
a lot
that
of
did Lord of the
VFX
Rings.
was- New Zealand.
Yeah.
From the credits, if I remember.
Yeah.
Because guess where they shot the film? New Zealand.
Mordor.
Center of the earth.
Do you know, like, yeah, so it was just a little behind the scenes test. They kind of shot the film, obviously, like, not the entire film, but like for the water sections, they had this giant tank that could fit 300 people.
Oh.
Or like, it would have been bigger than 300 because the most of people they had at once was 300 in the water, I think,
300. Like the Romans.
for real.
They all drowned.
Did the Romans?
Leonidas led his people to their
Oh,
deaths and
They did
put them
all
to a
die,
watery
that's
grave.
true.
Is that the Spartans? The Romans?
Yeah, Spartan.
Spartans,
Led by Leonidas.
they're
Oh,
from,
yes.
yeah.
They did that.
Yes.
Cool.
Spoilers for 300.
But yeah, that's how they did it. Also, just a funny thing, Kate Winslet returned to do another water film, which is funny because she got hypothermia doing Titanic and said she wouldn't work with James Gunn, James Cameron again, unless she was paid millions, which she probably was.
Got him.
This film
Get
was
that
made
book.
approximately for around, let's say, 400 million. I don't really understand the bullshit James Cameron thing of like, oh, this film has to become the third highest grossing movie of all time to make back its money. No, I don't think it does. To break even, to break even. To break even, I'm pretty sure you have to make double. Like, you have to double. You have to
Yes.
meet the thing and then, like, basically make profit, which is breaking
Yeah.
even. So, theoretically, if it was 400, you'd need to make 800 million to break even, which isn't good. Like, that's not considered a profit. Break even just means
You made your money.
you made your money back. Yeah, so it's just
So
like
what is the third highest grossing movie? Do you know? Or how
wait,
much?
don't tell
What's
me,
the
don't tell me.
nominal?
It's Avatar, Endgame, either Titanic or Infinity War is third. I'm gonna say it's Titanic.
If only you gave me a easy list of
Well,
right
considering
now,
the advertising,
just without
running around
adjusting
for
for
the
inflation. Yeah.
Avatar, I think it's being hard for it.
Yeah, the marketing budget would have been pretty huge. Yeah,
So you're locking it in.
I think it's Titanic. Yeah,
You're right.
yeah, and then after that's it, Infinity War.
The Force Awakens,
Fuck that movie.
and then Infinity.
Yeah. Oh wait, did I make my Force Awakens comparison? It's like, bro, this movie is kind of like the Force Awakens, the way that it reuses like the rough structure of the plot, but the Force Awakens was shittier because it was like way more just the plot of the last movie of The New Hope. But this one is like similar plot, but a lot different. Whereas that movie was barely different. It was just reskinned, really, which is why I don't like that movie. But that's besides the point.
This size.
Another Disney franchise.
How low?
Avatar.
Yes.
So you want to talk more about the kids? Yeah, I like Kiri. Interesting character. Generally gave a shit about her, and I was like, bro, everyone's being racist to her, but like she's kind of the coolest because she has. My theory is it's like she is essentially immaculate conception, and she is like brought to life by the god of the Avatar universe, the one that she has a connection with.
She's the chosen one, she's Jesus Cristo.
Yeah. Which is pretty cool.
The whole mythology behind Avatars and Pandora's whole thing.
Yeah. It's not as deep as like you would think. It's like
but they could take it deep.
Yeah, they're gonna in the 5 sequels, whatever.
Yeah, was that a question though? Who
it's
the
still
mother?
like, to be honest, it's still
pregnant?
like a pretty basic. Just because like all the things have weird names and stuff, it's still a pretty basic sci-fi universe.
Yeah.
In the way it's like, they have a god. That's kind of like a pretty basic thing. They have tribes.
Yeah. Wasn't the question was she doesn't know the dad? Who's the
Doesn't know
dad?
the dad.
It's kind of like.
Which, to be honest, that side plot did feel pretty out of place because it's just set up for the next movie. But like,
But it might be mirroring Jesus Cristo.
yeah, that's what I think it is. Yeah.
I was like, oh, Jesus Cristo. Because as you said, immaculate conception.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know what he was talking about. I thought you were just speaking Spanish again.
Jesus Cristo is a big man in the sky. Rainbow man.
Cool.
Yes.
Technically, isn't the big man?
Well, he's sitting next to the big man in the
himself.
sky,
Yeah, sure.
supposedly.
I'm very confused.
Anyhow, what's to say? The other kids, I fucking hate Spider. Okay, Spider-Man
He hates
continue.
little
Before
boys.
spoilers. All right,
let's go on.
you were introduced to it at the very start of the movie, and they're like, "Oh, Spider. Essentially, he's kind of abandoned by his father because his father obviously died in the last movie at the end." And then like it shows just like every day he'd come from the camp, fucking put blue makeup on, and then play with the kids and shit. And you're just like,
Blueface,
bro, man's literally
baby.
doing Blueface. Like, what the fuck?
The rapper.
And then he is so fucking stupid in the movie. Like, I can't. Okay, what's it? Where to believe? Okay, he's like absolutely loyal to the gang, right? He gets captured, obviously, by the villains, right? And so firstly, I should set up who the villain is in case, like, because I avoided talking about it in non-spoilers. But it's the same villain as the first movie, except it is a cloned Avatar version from roughly like the middle of the first Avatar movie. No, actually, more towards the end, after Jake betrays him, but before he dies. Which is actually, I thought, a really good way to bring him back because it's all already established canon, essentially, that they can put minds and things. That's the whole Avatar thing.
That's
And
how
after
Jake
all, that's
is a thing.
how Jake Sully gets into his body. But they use magic for that one.
Mhm.
But yeah. Also, by the way, the movie ends exactly where the last movie ends, with this exact same shot. of him looking directly into the camera.
Oh yeah.
Motif. But yeah, I actually really like the villain back again. He's a very over the top like comic villain,
Yeah.
He do be.
but like he's honestly like he's very committed to his role and I kind of vibe with it. They attempt to do something interesting with it, but I don't think it pays off at the end. But like we'll go back to that. Spider is so he's like kind of his son, but not really his son, right? So this is what happens. He gets kidnapped by he gets kidnapped by the boss guy.
Yeah.
And then everyone's torturing him to find out the location of the blue people. This is before they move to the underwater
fish land.
world. And he's like, no, I'll never give them up. And then the guy goes, hey, I may not be your dad. However, let's say you tell you and you don't like how about you just come with us and help us find him? And he's just like, yeah.
Okay, Dad.
He doesn't say, okay, Dad. They have
Okay.
no, by the way, they absolutely do not have any father bonding time in this entire movie. I just want to establish that. For this to, yeah.
Mhm.
So he goes off on their little quest and he's kind of constantly going like, haha, you guys are dumb. I'm a real Na'vi person.
Yeah,
I can
yeah.
speak their language. I can do all this shit. Fucking man is like literally the equivalent of a weeb in real life.
But he committed to it though. He did it from a very young age. He did this for a very long time. So he's now one of us.
I was born this way.
So yeah, he essentially just starts tracking down Jake Sully. There is literally no emotional conflict for him where he's like, oh, maybe I shouldn't do this.
Until they start killing
Until they
people.
start burning the village. And
Yeah.
then he's like, wait, I didn't know this was going to happen.
Minute.
Yes, you fucking did. Yes, you absolutely fucking did.
Yeah.
It was already established. You know how bad these people are. They kidnapped you and the other children, held you guys hostage in a forest to try and kill Jake Sully. They tortured you. Like,
Like,
don't
yeah.
understand this man.
He's just
But then,
a kid.
but bear in mind, after he sees that, he still keeps helping them
Yes.
until the others come to like not really come to rescue him. They come to for the big final showdown, basically to get the other kids back. They're like, oh, but also Spider's there, so let's just get him back, right? And then he just switches to their side. But there also is no internal conflict for him. He just does it. He just goes over. And nobody goes, you betrayed us and ratted us out to the bad guys. Nobody acknowledges that he was even away from them.
Yes.
Which makes me think, was he even in the script, bro? Doesn't fit at all. And then you get the ending where, like, he goes and he's like, the only moment you get a slight hint of eternal struggle is where he's like, should I rescue my dad? But I don't think so. Fine, I'll do it. Even though there's no reason for him to, because A, it's not his dad. He knows that. The dad knows that. Even though I kind of understand a bit more why the dad would be like, oh yeah, don't shoot him at the end, because he still has the memories. But the fucking kid wouldn't care, because firstly, we established that he spent more time with the Avatar Na'vi people than he did with his dad. And secondly, this man literally ate his dad. This man tells the kid, I'm not your dad, multiple times. And he doesn't even look like him. He's fucking blue. It's a blue argument, okay?
Blue
What the fuck?
deputy.
And then he rescues him, but he's like, grrr.
Yeah.
Fuck.
He rescues him, and then the dad's like, all right, fine. You want to come with me, son? And he go, grr.
And like, why? I don't, to be honest, like, I don't really, there's nothing much. The dad's arc isn't really, like, you could say his arc is like, at the end, he's like, oh, my son, right?
Yeah.
And he chooses not to get him shot. But then he kind of, like, when his son goes grr, he's just like, oh, fucking, who cares? Like, there's, like, nothing left for him to grow as a character. I don't really know if they're going to bring him back for the next movie or
Yeah,
whatever.
like,
but
why did they keep him alive? Are they just going to bring him back? Be like, he does the same thing again?
yeah. Because there was no reason for the son to save him. There was no arc for him in the movie, so that's not a payoff for anything.
Yes.
Yeah, I want to establish just very clearly, there is no father-son bonding time in this movie. There is, the son will show the troops how to do Na'vi shit,
Well,
Like
there's
how
a
to
bit
fly
of
a
it, I
dragon?
think, where they're on the dragon thing and they were talking, they're bantering for a bit, early on, not early on, but middle.
Yeah, but it was like barely anything
Yeah,
to.
but that was the only.
it
I
was just
guess
like
all I could do to defend is be like, Spider is showing forgiveness for the enemy, and that's like, he's a good boy.
he's not a fucking good boy.
Forgiveness.
Also, like,
Eventually-
but
They kill.
Why? That's not an
people die
arc.
anyways.
because like
People were
at the
getting
start of the
killed.
movie, it wasn't like he wasn't showing
I
forgiveness
didn't
for the
watch the
enemy.
start of the film.
So that actually, yeah, that wouldn't make sense because that's not a payoff of anything.
It's
Because
just very
he didn't learn
confusing.
anything because there was nothing to learn. It was like because the man has no fucking character. He's just culture. Maybe if he learns that, maybe if he comes to terms with the identity, that would have been
He's not
payoff
young.
because he's weird cultural appropriation guy at the start. If he maybe came to terms with his identity, that would have been something.
To
but
play
he didn't.
another defense, and look, these defenses obviously I'm stretching for them
Yeah,
to try and because I know it's also another trope of like, I'm not gonna become you, so I'm not gonna kill you. I'm gonna save you because I'm not
But
gonna
he's not
become
killing
But he
another
was-
girl like you.
there was never a conflict of him wanting, thinking that he was becoming his dad.
Mhm.
That's-
Because he's also like when he's helping his dad track down Jake, it's not like he's doing anything evil. He's just being there.
Yeah,
I think the fact that he's helping
Oh.
track down Sully is a dick thing and like
Yeah.
complete betrayal. But also like he doesn't torture animals or like even talk shit. He just kind of walks around. So I thought like this is honestly how I predicted his arc would go. He gets captured. They rescue the rest of the kids and they don't rescue him. And I thought the dad would be like, "See, they don't care about you. They didn't come and rescue you." He didn't. He was like, "Yo, you want to go and get the." It was the dumbest fucking scene. Like,
Hmm.
yeah. Oh,
Truly
I
is.
forgot the entire time to address the variable refresh rate. I mean,
No, you may.
you did a little bit.
yeah. So just to say, like, it awkwardly cuts between 23 and 48 FPS. And I didn't really like it. I got used to it. But in my opinion, the entire film should just been 48. There was not really any point to doing 23 unless you were going to go, like, talking scenes 23, action sequence 48.
Is it that what they did?
No,
Oh, wait,
it was
no,
literally
yeah.
every cut was a different frame rate.
Yeah, just choose either one. Everything 23 or everything 48.
Yeah. Or just do Gemini Man, the Will Smith movie, and go 120 frames for some fucking reason.
Yeah, gaming.
Yeah. I kind of want to watch that movie in the frame rate just to see what it looks like. But
You
yeah.
like a video game,
Yeah.
presumably.
Anyway. Yeah. Oh yeah, I was going to talk about let's talk more about the plot, I guess. It's pretty similar to the first movie. Instead of unobtainium, though, it's like they're looking for like long life juice.
Whale juice.
But actually, that's not really true because that only comes into
Oh,
play about 75% way through the film.
The main motivation for at least the main antagonist was still just finding Jake
Sully.
from the yeah.
It was the motivation for the secondary antagonist, which is why they get introduced. I think he probably got 20 minutes of screen time. Like,
Yeah,
man, like,
legitimately.
I don't understand that storyline because it takes like.
It's kind
Okay,
of
like,
used as a...
I'll actually try and break down the entire movie, okay? The first arc, you've got kind of like your introduction to the villain, you got your introduction to the new kids, and you're like, oh, there's a bit of conflict in the family because the kids really want to be like the dad. That was do you feel like did that ever come up at the end? Did you feel that?
A whole second plot just to trigger the final showdown.
What? No, I'm talking about the kids.
Okay.
Because it establishes one of the conflicts of the film, which is Jake Sully's kids kind of want to be like him, but he's like, chill out, boys.
Yeah.
Well,
And it does come back a little bit with the ways they kind of be reckless, I guess.
I'm reckless.
I guess the ultimate payoff for that is the big brother fucking dies.
does
In
that.
all honesty, I don't know.
Well, the little brother trying to not be a fuck up. Different. Trying to be dead or the old trying to be like
It's
the
like
older brother.
he's
who's
trying
the
not to be a
perfect
fuck
older
up,
brother.
but he's trying to like. It's like okay, you get this big high sequence at the start with a train, right? But by the way, that was sort of the funny bits where everyone was like, "This looks like a cutscene," because the train flips and it just looks like a video game.
Cool. We didn't see that.
Yeah.
There's a train.
And like the kids
True.
rush into battle, and like the younger brother gets like shot or something.
Okay.
So then they're like, "Oh, don't do this," and then it's like, "Oh, they kind of want to be like their dad, but their dad's too hard on them." Blah blah blah. Because his dad is like the greatest war hero. He's the fucking leader of the tribe somehow. I don't really get the between what happened between the last movie and this movie that he became
Well, I
the
mean,
leader.
he married the daughter of the last.
I guess so, but I don't. I feel like people wouldn't accept that. I feel like people would be like, "This is
Demon blood,
bullshit," but I don't know.
demon blood. I don't know.
But
Maybe
I guess the
that's how-
person who should have actually been leader does end up being the leader when he switches place. I don't know, but I honestly don't remember which character that was. Yeah. So you got like this it establishes some conflicts here. Dude wants to, yeah.
Yes.
The actual like the stuff you get established, you get Kira wants to find out who her father is. Oh yeah, so like the fucking dialogue, I forgot to say as an example of the shit dialogue. They're hanging out looking at the mother and the like Kira's mother in the coma, and then they're talking about like how their dad's hard on them, right? And then they're like, yeah, our big expectations because Jake Sully is our father. And then fucking Spider suddenly goes like all gloomy and goes, well, maybe it doesn't matter who your father is. And everyone
Yeah.
goes, I'm sorry, Spider. Like, I'm not joking. They all go, I'm sorry. And I'm just like, this is the dialogue of this fucking movie.
That sounds funny.
It was, it was dumb. Anyway, yeah, his whole thing, I guess, is he's got daddy issues. But not enough. It's like surface level. Established he's got daddy issues, not go into it any further. It's just like, say one moody line and that's it.
That's just the whole crux of
Then
his supposed...
it amps up pretty quick. The entire forest gets like obliterated at the start, and then they're like, "Oh shit, people are after us." The kids get kidnapped, and then they're like, "Oh, we gotta leave." And they leave. They find the wave water people.
Mhm.
So like the first arc kind of is up to them leaving because they also have a bit of the conflict of should they leave, should they not leave, and they decide to leave. So let's just say that's the first episode of this. Second episode, they meet the family. You get a bit of them trying to fit in, understand things.
Yeah.
You get quite drawn out bullying subplot,
Yes.
which was very tropey and
Everything
unnecessary.
about that was drawn out with the bullying and the introduction into the water people ways.
Yeah. Like even within that arc, it's two different arcs. You got the bullying and then you've got like learning the ways of the water.
Yes.
Which I feel like learning the ways of the water is probably integral to them actually being able to do the end.
Yes.
Don't necessarily think meeting the whales and doing that whole thing was integral. Like the ultimate payoff for the whales thing was the big whale jumping at the end and landing on the ship. Like, let's be honest, that is kind of the big payoff. And the fucking whaling thing, which was really dumb. Like it was very like out of nowhere.
I suppose as soon
Bear
as
in
we
mind
meet the
that
whale, then they
you know
go
how
with
they
the whale thing.
destroy the forest at the start, which implies that they're still going for unobtainium, right? In
Yeah.
the forest. They're like, oh, coincidentally, we've also found this long life juice in the whales, so we're gonna whale these things.
How would they find
By the
that
way,
in
They
bear
did
in
say,
mind,
like-
the whaling thing wasn't important. They use the whaling vessels because they need a way to
Find
find Jake.
Yeah.
So like the actual whaling thing doesn't matter. It is just like
Yeah.
extra context essentially. But they treat it like a plot point.
Well, they're kind of like the other reasoning was if we kill the whale, we can throw out the fish people. They don't like it. Kill the whales.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like that was the thing. But then they also had to make it about. They specifically make it about whaling by going, "Oh,
Yes.
don't you take the what is blubber, but it's the fucking thing."
Brain juice.
And they're like, "Oh, and then you throw the thing away. Isn't that like bad?"
yeah.
Blah blah blah. They really like hammer it home. You spend a lot of time with this kid bonding with the whale, which is important, I guess, literally to the one payoff of the big whale jumping onto the
Yeah.
boat. However, I know I'm going to sound a bit harsh. I didn't really care about the whale.
Typical Japanese.
Yeah,
Oh!
bro, I'm sorry.
You know, you
But,
have these.
Shit.
Which everyone was like, obviously that was the like emotional stuff. I gotta admit, it was sad seeing like, but it was cheap emotional stuff. It's like obviously if you show
Yes.
a mother's calf dead in the water, that's pretty emotional.
That.
It's pretty sad, but I don't feel like it's earned at all.
Well, they kind of go all the way with the scene, though.
They go,
Yeah.
yeah, they go full on, and it's just like I get it, but like to be honest, the only thing I care about is the conflict with the characters, with the villains,
And the fish.
stuff like that. This fish stuff is just too drawn out and weird.
It do be.
You got like
Mhm.
a bunch of just you got this arc of them learning the way of the water, blah blah blah. You have a separate arc of the daughter of Kiri finding out she might have some weird connection to the god.
Yeah. Funny power.
Yeah.
Do be whaling.
Uh,
Oh, they did also mention like, the brain juice. It basically funds everything else.
yeah, because it's 80 million per
Yeah.
thing, which is not a lot of money for what it is, I reckon.
But apparently is to them.
Because I feel like $80 million for something that will stop your aging is like not a lot of money. They should be charging like
I wouldn't
They
pay
could be
for it at
charged.
all. I wouldn't
Well,
even get it for
maybe-
yeah,
free.
no, but like think about
Rich
I know,
people
but
got
I'm just
their
saying for
limits
myself.
as well.
Yeah, I feel like rich people would pay more.
Rich
for
people
that.
would pay more for that.
Yeah,
I just wouldn't want it.
yeah, but it's kind of funny. I say that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The whales are smarter than. That's another thing.
Yeah, they make
point
that
out.
a very point. They compose music. They do math.
Yet they.
Why
keep
don't they
dying
invent guns,
out of-
bro?
Yeah, exactly.
How would they operate the gun?
They
using,
strap it
things.
to the, I don't know.
They put missile launchers.
How
Yes.
do they build the gun?
Because they with the aquatic people because they're best friends.
But they're not.
They give
I
them
forget-
this because they can literally talk to them. They
I
give them
forget
the
thing
schematics
about
and they
the mythology
craft the thing.
behind the world, where it's like, oh, you're not supposed to use the metal and obtainium to create weapons. You're not supposed to have technological advance.
That's kind of the thing, though, because
Kind of.
the people of
No,
the planet, they kind of.
I think that was a little bit of the conflict of the first movie, technology versus nature, but ultimately they decide to go with technology because you see at the start of the movie, all the avatars have guns and
Okay.
they use them in battle.
That's because Jake Sully.
Yeah, he
It's
brings
Jake's
the
fault.
technology and shit.
Right.
Um,
What do I know, people?
I think it's
The fish people still
with
use these.
the world building, it's pretty cool that like because you got the forest people that link up essentially with the forest animals. The
Yeah.
trees have a huge connection to the trees, and then you got the water people have a huge connection to the water. And they're not the same, but they're similar in the ways of
They're
things,
so
but they're not the
connected with
same,
the
which is
vibe.
kind of cool. Yeah. The last act I think was really cool because it's just a really big action sequence and the
Yeah,
action in
yeah.
this movie looks phenomenal.
Epic.
The Jake versus the villain was pretty satisfying, but then it had to be fucked up by Spider saving the dad for no reason.
Yes.
For
I just wanted to
Throughout
die.
the film,
Yeah.
my Spider just had daddy issues.
And
All
I feel
throughout.
like the dad, like I get his arc was meant to end up in the place of him being like, oh, it's the kid. But he doesn't really show much empathy towards the child throughout the movie. So I'm like, I don't really buy it. I get that from like
Who
a
would?
plot point perspective, they need to get there, but they didn't. I don't know. I don't think they earned it that well.
They didn't show the journey.
Yeah.
Journey. with the
So that's what I
friends.
mean. Like the writing of this movie, to be honest, I think is worse than the first movie. However, I was way more attached to the characters in this movie. That's why, I found the ending very sad. Like when the son dies and stuff, that was pretty tragic. And then when they go into like the Mind Palace and see him playing in the river, I was like, I'm crying now. Yeah, but yeah,
True.
but yeah. Though, I feel like this movie, the second act is a lot more entertaining than the entirety of the first movie because it's like
Mm.
You get the great visuals, you get the great action sequences, and it feels pretty emotionally driven at the end. Yeah. I did like all the new creatures and
Yes.
stuff. They're
Mhm.
all really cool.
Yes.
Yeah. But I don't like hate the whales. I like I don't like their purpose in the
Yes.
grand narrative, but they themselves are pretty cool.
The whale.
Also, in all honesty, I don't think. Now that I think about it, I guess they needed a way for the sun to have a personal whale for the big, so it could jump onto the ship ultimately.
Yes.
And show that the sun is not completely a fuck up. Because everyone doubted him, but he
Yeah.
did the whale thing right. But I don't know, the whale being the outcast, blah blah blah, and having its own kind of arc it needed to be solved. I'm like, that seems
It's a
unnecessary.
mirror
Bro.
image of the little brother being
Yeah.
cast.
It's-
They
yeah,
are together.
they arc together, but like, yeah, I just like, bro, like I get you love the whales, but like, man,
He's
too
still
much.
talking about eating whale.
For the Japanese.
Damn, dude, I'm sorry. Maybe I just didn't like the story that much because I'm Japanese. Do you guys have any more stuff you want to add?
I think a lot of it was addressed.
Honestly, you've covered all the bloat.
Yeah.
Yeah. How long have we been recording?
We're an hour and 10. Well,
We have been talking. Never mind about needing a long discussion. We are. Most of this
Still
episode has
less
just
than
been this
half
one
of
review.
the length of an Avatar Way of the Water.
Fucking hell.
Let's say, yeah. Most of the issues have been addressed.
So shall we give our final verdict?
Yeah, let's address
Think
that.
so?
All right. Final
Radio.
video.
Yeah.
Final verdicts, ladies and gents, and everyone else in between. Avatar. The Way of the Water. Very cool movie. A lot of cool visuals. And looks pretty good. I enjoyed it. You may too, but it's a very long one. And there's a lot of things going on that may not be of much importance. But yet, it is still worth watching maybe if you watch it in good quality.
That's very confident.
Yes.
Hey, that's
So-
what we're here for.
I'll give it a 7, yeah? 7 out of 10.
Yeah.
7 out of 10. I don't know. It was fun. Yeah, it was bloated. But am I the type of person to feel the bloat? Nah.
Feel the blood.
Hey.
Yeah, fair. I don't know. My score on this one, because I actually really do recommend you guys see this movie because it deserves to be seen. The care and attention they put into making this movie, and it is a visual spectacle. And I like this more than the last one, kind of purely because A, the visuals, and B, it's way more emotionally investing.
Mm.
However, I think the story isn't as good as the first one. Bear in mind, the first one's story isn't very good. But
Yeah.
at least it's kind of concise and streamlined. This was all over the place. If I said earlier that the first Avatar is about a 6, and I think, even though I think these are about of equal quality, I think I still enjoyed this one more. So I'm actually going to go a 7.5 on this one.
Right, yeah.
Which, even though I ranted about it more than you, I feel like I probably still did like it more than you did.
Yeah.
Because I did like, I'm gonna watch it a second time, so like I did obviously enjoy it, but like I did have pretty glaring.
Fair enough. Comes to an
That's a
average
good
score of
score.
7.5 for the Unholy Trinity for Avatar 2 The Way of Water.
There you go, folks. You're watching a clip from an episode of the Unholy Trinity podcast.
Available on Spotify or Apple Podcasts.
Not Apple Music.